Reading is one of the most powerful tools to boost your vocabulary, solidify your grammar, and truly immerse yourself in a foreign language. But it's not just about picking up any book and hoping for the best. You have to know how to read the smart way. Otherwise, you might fall into some common traps that might derail any attempt to get fluent in your target language. Let's talk about the 5 big mistakes most language learners make when reading, and let's learn how to avoid them. On y va, c'est parti. Mistake number 1, reading outside of your Goldilocks zone. Vi racconto una storia. The year was 1993, and I was 12. I was in a bookshop in Rome with my mom. I had been learning English for 2 years at school when I spotted a ginormous book with a scary-looking clown on the cover. It was Stephen King's It. I thought, and I said to my mom by pointing at that book, I want that. But the shopkeeper warned me, and with a grin on his face, he said, Caro mio, è troppo difficile per te. Did I listen? Nope. I bought it anyway. Y adivina lo que pasó. The guy was right. Every page was chock full of words and expressions I did not understand. I was frustrated but determined to go through the entire book. And that's when I learned my first big lesson. Das war mein erster Fehler. I had jumped into something way above my level. What I should have done was to start with simpler content. Beginners, start with parallel texts or materials specifically designed for your level. Intermediate learners, rated readers are your friends. And for advanced learners, start with books you've already read in your native language. Trust me, it makes things much easier. Mistake number 2, relying too much on dictionaries. Когда я начал читать оно, у меня был только словарь под рукой. I find a word, look it up, and then spend 5 minutes trying to figure out which meaning was the right one for the context. It was a slow, frustrating process. Mas hoje em dia, temos pouco mais de sorte. In fact, we have amazing tools like Google Lens or DeepL that can translate entire sentences or even blocks of text instantly. You can check a video I made about Google Lens by clicking here. These tools allow you to scan the entire page and translate the text immediately. The great advantage with respect to normal dictionaries, whether they're online or on paper, is that these automatic AI-fueled translation machines give you the meaning of any word or expression in their natural context. This is important because words can have different meanings or connotations depending on where they appear and how they're used. This makes understanding any piece of content much quicker and much more accurate. Ale uwaga! Don't become too reliant on these tools. As you progress, try to use them less and less until you only need them for the odd word here and there. Mistake number 3, trying to understand everything. Here's een andere fout die ik heb gemaakt. When I was reading It, I wanted to understand every single word, every grammar feature, and every cultural reference. This approach was a disaster as it led to frustration and burnout. Inedaxi na min catalanete tapada. Focus on getting the gist of the text first. As my Italian friend and fellow polyglot Stefano once told me, learn to let go of perfection. The most important thing is to understand the general meaning. The details will come with time. Mistake number 4, stopping at every word you do not know. És most egy másik hiba. Stopping at every word you do not know. This was a huge one for me. I find a word, stop, look it up, figure out the meaning, and then continue reading. But by then, I'd lost the flow of the text. It's like eating a sandwich and every time you take a bite, you spit out part of the food and try to figure out each ingredient that made the sandwich taste so good. Ma siamo matti? Eventually, I realized that it's much more important to keep the flow of reading going. Whenever you're reading, even if you do not understand a word or two, if you still get the general meaning, go with the flow. You'll enjoy the content more and you'll actually want to keep reading. Mistake number 5, reading without purpose. Now, 最后一个错误是 reading without purpose. If you're just reading for the sake of it, you will not get much out of it, especially if you are at a lower level. When I was reading It, I made sure to engage with the text. I wrote notes in the margins, underlined important words, and really made the content my own. Whether you are a beginner, intermediate, or advanced learner, read with purpose. Mark up your books, jot down notes, and engage with the content. That's how you will truly develop your reading skills in any language. Mistake-free is the way to be. Grazie mille per l'attenzione, amici miei, e spero proprio che questi consigli vi siano utili. Remember, it's all about enjoying the process. But before I let you go, one more thing. Speaking of mistakes, blunders, and traps to avoid if you want to become fluent in any language, I've written an in-depth and completely free ebook called The 10 Mistakes to Avoid to Get from Failure to Fluency, which, by the way, comes with a corresponding audiobook as well. I left the link in the description box, so feel free to download it and go through it. And now, that's really it for today. So keep reading, keep learning, and keep rocking. And as always, happy language learning, and see you in the next video.